Who's been turning this week?
Me,
Who?
Got a
Who's
few
that?
people.
Billy
me,
Bean?
finally. Yep.
Billy, what
Got
are
a
you turning, man?
I'm turning critters.
Oh, I saw it yesterday. What's his name? Uh, Bowser. I saw you turn Bowser yesterday. Yeah. Somebody else said he looked like another dog.
Yeah, a couple people say it looks like Snoopy.
Yeah.
I'll let y'all be the judge.
I don't know if you're racist. Snoopy's whiter. Uh,
Uh,
but wait, why'd you get into dogs?
uh, Alamo Woodturners, our local club that I'm a member of, is part of SWAT, and we are responsible this year for the centerpieces for the tables for Saturday night's dinner. All of the centerpieces, as in SWAT's past, will be given away. People at the tables have numbers or something, or they draw numbers, and they will call out a number from the stage, and whoever is sitting in chair 8 or chair 6 or chair 4, whichever one's called, gets to go home with uh, one of the centerpieces.
I've got two of them in my gallery that I picked up there at Smart.
Yeah, I've got a couple back here behind me. It's pretty cool. So anyway, Alamo Woodturners is responsible for the centerpieces this year. So I've been busy trying to do my share.
It makes for a great club event because there's a lot of competition between members to hey, you put this show off. Yeah. And it's member involvement. That's the key part is member involvement. When you get
Yeah.
everybody get together and do that for there's not gonna be a prize, there's not gonna be a trophy or anything. There's be
No.
that feeling in your heart you did something great and somebody else has got your work going home with them. That's well, what else you need.
Right.
It's good.
Yeah, I'm not trying to outdo anybody. I'm doing stuff that I've not done before, stuff that I've considered and kind of wanted to do, but either didn't have time or chose not to take the time. And now it's something I need to do. So, hey, it all works out.
It sure does. Sure does. That's that's a really nice project. Who else is turning this week? Come on, y'all dig into
Well,
it.
let's go ahead and get things started here with gallery. What do you say, Eddie?
That's great. My boss just popped in and told me to put the brakes on me. So you come on,
Alrighty.
keep rolling.
All
She's
right,
here.
let's
She's watching.
no problem. All right, Joe, we got you.
Oh, am I up finally?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, to start with, you guys, I'm a little bit behind. Whenever you all start making stuff and do little companies, I'm behind the times on everything. So I ended up the other day tried to make a lighthouse, just ordinary, just to see how I was going to hold it. I don't like it because the rods are too big, the candle's not down low enough, and I drilled through the top of it. But since then, I've been playing a little bit more with them, and I made another one. Still don't have the right size dowels, but I'm doing a little more decorations to it, trying to make it look a little bit fancier. I'm having trouble with getting the rods straight though. I'm still working on that one. And then last week we right before the after the meeting was over, we were talking about making crosses, and I had this other lighthouse on the lathe, so I went ahead and I turned a cross on the top of the lighthouse.
Oh, that's nice.
Nice.
It's a
That's
little
pretty.
bit too thick on the cross piece, but just for something to show. And of course, I added a few things, put a little crystal ball on it. And this is out of poplar. This is different. The other ones were sassafras.
That's great. That's great,
Hey,
Joe. Nice
That
work.
is.
looks
That's
good
nice
to me,
touch.
Joe.
Joe.
And I
Nice
got
touch.
one
Yeah.
more on the lathe, actually. I've been working on. This is actually for somebody. And this is going to be a big one, big and
Hello.
heavy. But
Yeah. Segmenting.
it's not
Yeah,
really
nice.
segmenting. There were boards that I had that were like
Oh,
just like strips of board like this already put together.
yeah.
So I turned them so yes, they actually spiral and go around. but you can see where it looks good, and then it has like the sides of the board, so it's a little bit odd looking. But still, that's going to be I'm gonna put toothpicks around here and a string around it, like a little walkway on this bottom section. And I'm gonna do something else to the top of it. I just ain't for sure yet.
That looks great.
Great. Well,
Looks good to me, Joe.
But the cross was the main thing we were showing because we was talking about last week. I can't remember the guy's name, and I'm sorry about that. But there was a Turner that died here recently, and we were all
Nick Agar.
right. We were all going to get.
Oh, froze up.
Yeah. Glad it's not me.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
And that's all that I've got.
All right. Well, Joe,
Okay.
we missed about 5 minutes because you froze up. So you started talking about Nick Agar and then away you went. So
Oh,
I don't know if
okay.
you want to-
Yeah, I was just saying that we was talking about doing a little remembrance thing with the crosses, and that's why we all did crosses. Why I did this little bitty one. I figured everybody else was going to do a bigger one, so I just did the smaller one. And that's all I really said. And then
Yeah.
I'm pretty much done with what I had to show. Just those 4 items.
Nice job.
Very nice, Joe.
Nice job.
Very good.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to Mr. Dewey.
Hey, hi, everybody. Well, I turned a bowl, or did I turn two?
Goodness.
Ah, look at that.
Holy crap.
because you can, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, this
Right? Because you
this
can.
is Bradford pear, and
Really?
how this thing came about was a friend
You
of
sure
mine.
it's not?
had
You
a-
sure it's not box elder?
No, it's just this is pear.
Okay.
A friend of mine had had the McNaughton coring system, so I put this piece of pear on, and I was going to try it out just to see how it was done, and then we ran into a piece of metal down in here, and I said, "Well, I don't want to go any further because I'll mess up his coring system." So I took it off, and then I started digging around in here, trying to get that metal out. When I finally got the metal out, there was a wide enough gap here. I said, let's just turn two bowls at once. And that's how this all. So it's the first time
How'd you sand the inside of that big bowl?
Very carefully.
Very carefully.
Uh-huh.
wrap it around your finger and just be real easy,
Yeah.
real slow, about 70 RPM, just real slow,
Huh.
and just be real careful.
Yeah, Came out great. What do you use for dye?
Yeah, I did.
That's no dye on it.
No dye.
Oh, wow.
That's
That red is striking.
well,
Yeah, it is.
it's the light. It's the camera. The camera highlights red. See, my face is red. That's not because I'm drunk. It's because that's just the way my face looks.
No, it's a different-
it's
it's a
not
different
this
shade of-
red. It's not
It's a
this
different
red.
shade of red.
Yeah,
Huh.
there we go. And but it's just lacquer, many coats of lacquer,
Wow.
and so
Beautiful.
Pretty.
Yeah, that's real
It's
pretty.
really cool.
yeah. So anyway, I thought that was kind of unique, kind of a deal. But that's all I got tonight, guys.
Beautiful.
All right.
Everybody
Thank
have
you,
a good
sir.
evening.
I'm glad
Indeed.
you
as well,
still
sir.
got your fingers.
Yeah.
I said, I'm glad you still have your fingers, buddy.
Oh, well, I skint a knuckle a little bit, but that's
Yeah.
okay.
As long as you don't
All
need
right.
a Band-Aid.
Yeah, it didn't bleed, so I'm fine.
Yeah.
There we go. All right, let's go see what Dave Kingsman's got. Hey, Dave.
Whoa, that was quick.
Mhm.
But yeah, I've been working with acrylics lately, and I come up with this. It's not a great shape, but it's
Oh.
fairly well hollowed, and it was interesting because the way they're making these blanks is that they're having a little left over after they pour for their pen blanks, and so they're just dumping it into a solo cup. And when I first put this on the lathe right here, it just came apart. And so I just hit over a little sandpaper and some 5-minute epoxy and put it back together. But it's interesting in that there's no pressure either. So there are tons and tons and tons of bubbles. And actually, it's about 1/8 of an inch in diameter, less than it was when I started, because I was trying to sand through the bubbles, and I just found more. And I also found out that you got to be careful when you're turning. If you hit one of the bubbles, yeah, it could do a job on you.
Oh, cool.
But that was about all I had the time for this week. I noticed that last week there was a discussion on threading. And I think it was
JJ.
forget AJ. Yeah, he was talking about using a large thread like 8 TPI or 10 PPI. Watched a lot of videos from Sam Angelo, and he was explaining that actually the finer threads are easier to cut. Basically, because one, you've got to maintain a certain speed to get a decent cut, and two, if you're doing a finer thread, it allows you to traverse more slowly and you have more control. And I found out that worked for me.
Thanks, Dave.
I
need to go back and watch Sam's videos.
Yeah, it's counterintuitive, but it makes sense when you think about it, because it allows you more control because you're able to move more slowly across the work with the cutter.
The piece that you showed, did you thread those?
Oh no, this one's not threaded. I don't have it here. I showed one a couple of weeks ago that I had 20 or 22 TPI threads on. And that came out nice. The only thing I've learned is not to try to expand this at all with my tool. I need to get a Forstner bit to start, make sure it's parallel, because if it's not parallel, you're dead.
Roger.
That's one reason this one isn't threaded, because I tried making that bigger and I never could quite manage to get it parallel. Live and learn. Half the fun.
That's the fun. There you go.
Take care, guys.
All right. Thank you, Dave. All right. Let's go see what Al's got.
How's everybody? I
You
was
good?
very, very busy all week, and I really have nothing good to show for it. I've been making this candy dish, or if I put a lid on it, which I was going to do, and I was going to call it a jewelry tray or so. But here I have 3 coats of oil, tongue oil, and I had it out in the shed out there drying. If you look here, it warped. So the lid that I made, it doesn't fit anymore.
Yeah.
And like I said, and it's starting to crack on this end. It's starting to crack up here on this end.
So it's got a lot of character. It's got a lot of character, Al.
So I got my 4 feet on the bottom.
We're losing you.
Fun,
Ed.
but like I said, pretty upsetting.
He's freezing
Pretty
up.
upsetting. But that's all I have. And everybody have a good night. Everybody be good.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Al.
Quick and
Thanks,
easy.
Doc.
All right. Let's go to Mr. Billy. Hey, Billy.
Hello. Well, I mentioned what I've been working on. Y'all saw one peacock last week, and I got to looking at pictures of peacocks, and more often than not, when they bring their tail feathers up, they bring them to the inside. Well, I turned the one last week with the feathers turned outside, which they do sometimes, but this is usually more like what they do. And so I just hand drew the feathers in and wood burned them, all shaky, no straight lines. It's crazy. One
Looks
of these
great.
days I might learn how to do that. But so I got him turned and painted. I forgot. No, I did put eyes on him. You just can't see him. There they are.
Yeah, you can
Yep.
see 'em.
Yep.
So he's got his little feather in the top. And I'm not going to do any more peacocks. I did 2. I figured that's enough. But I've been wanting to try other animals. I turned a cat first rattled out of the box a couple weeks ago at our president's shop. And so I thought, what can I do with this little fella?
Snoopy.
And so, yes, some people say he looks like Snoopy. Some, I don't know, it's just a funky looking dog.
Needs some feet
the-
on
Well,
Oh,
yeah, I don't want to get too carried away.
him. Oh,
And there was an odd, this is spalted hickory, and it was also kind of buggy because the carpenter ants killed the tree, but it had a weird looking grain pattern right there due to the spalting or something. I'm not real sure. And I thought it looked perfect as the tail, so I just
oh yeah.
colored that black. And the ears was the trickiest part. I've seen these turned with turning wooden ears and splitting them or whatever. And I thought, I want to try something different. So I took some black denim and I cut it out, made both exactly the same, and took pieces of bamboo skewer and glued the tops of the ears around that bamboo skewer and then let them droop and saturated them with CA. That'll do 2 things. It'll keep the denim from fraying and raveling or unraveling, and it gives them some shape. They're nice and stiff, and so they're not going to be moving around.
Yeah. Nice.
Anyway,
That's a neat
just
idea.
just a little pooch.
How'd you do your
I've
denim
got a-
ears?
Pardon?
How'd you do your denim ears?
Danny
How'd
just
you do?
Didn't I just explain that?
I
I
must have
just-
zoned it. I didn't hear it. Sorry.
Oh, well, I glued the ends. I cut them to shape, both exactly the same. And
No,
then
no,
I
how'd
glued
you-
the ends.
How'd you make the denim?
I cut it out of an old pair of black jeans.
Ruined the jeans.
I think he's being ornery.
He wants to know what kind of loom you got to make the denim on.
A really
Billy?
big one.
Yeah,
Despite everybody trying to give you a hard time, that's cute.
Thank you.
right.
That's a good
I
looking
like it.
dog, though.
I like him.
I'm
I may
just
do
teasing,
another
Billy.
one. And
Like the
just-
I may
nose.
do it. I may do another one and give him a different shape. I don't know. We'll see. I'm
Make-
just right now turning whatever the mood hits me. I'm attempting to turn an owl right now, so we'll see how that comes out.
Oh,
You're being very whimsical.
the
I love it.
peacock's
Well,
a nice
Those are
use.
great.
A peacock's a nice use for a broken bowl. You can use half of it.
And-
right?
Funny you should say that.
I
Both
was-
of these actually came out of the same bowl. I didn't turn the bowl. James did, James Carter, and he donated it to me because he turned a funnel, and I thought, well, I don't need the bottom anyway because I'm just going to sand it out so that it fits, and that's what I did. So both of these were halves of the same bowl.
Somehow I had a feeling that was going to come up.
I may do a turkey. I don't know. I think I'm almost done with birds. I figure there's going to be a lot of penguins turned and brought. So I don't want to do that.
You should make an albatross.
An albatross.
I'll take a
Kinda
really
hard to-
big bowl for the wings.
That'd be kind of hard to turn those gold wings.
Yeah.
Had
It
little-
would require you to make a steam bender, I think.
Or more
Or-
felt.
or turn that shape into a piece and cut it into wing shape.
You
There
need
you
more,
go. Cut it out on a bandsaw, maybe.
you need more felt. Huh?
Just use your loom.
You got it.
Yeah, I'll use that big loom I spun that denim on. Or wove that
All right.
denim
Well,
on.
those are great, Billy. Thank you very much. Is that it?
Thanks, I'm done.
Okay. Next up is Brenda. What you got, Brenda?
Hi, guys. Can you hear me? Yeah, you can hear me.
Yes.
Well, first of all, you can see what I got in my hair. See here?
Yeah.
I was making some hair sticks this week.
Be careful, your hair's
Very
falling down.
good.
Yeah, I don't really like them, but
They work, don't they?
Huh?
What would you do different to make them better?
I don't know. These I like the shape on the ends of these. These turned out okay, I guess. But these are 6-inch ones. Cade seems to, is it 6 inches? Yeah, I think so. Okay, I watched Cade's video, okay, and he likes to do them 8 inches, I think.
Okay.
4 or 8. And even these were too wobbly, and I had a lot of trouble, making them even, smooth and whatever. So after I made these two, I decided I would get, them canes you get at the fairgrounds? That's what these are.
No. Okay.
Yes. I stuck these in the headstock, right through the middle of this headstock. Shaped the top, and then just sanded down the paint and finished them off.
Well, they're nice. I just was wondering what you would do different if you next time.
Yeah, I'm
When
getting a
you-
lot better at turning.
Brenda, how did you use a skew to turn them?
No, I can't do that with skew very well.
That will greatly enhance your turning experience with the.
Yeah. I think they need resharpened. So
Make sure you bring them to level up.
I will. So then I had to, I got.
Were you out there riding around on that excavator today, Brenda?
No.
I saw it was left unattended.
Yeah, he didn't leave the key though. So anyway, I gotta make some coffee scoops, or hadn't had all these coffee scoops, to make. This one's curly maple, Babinga. I forget the name of that. Is something, I don't know what that was called. And another really weird one. You see that?
Yeah.
And then this one I did today. Because the Spectraply, it looks better when you go in and out and do that. And then this one is a piece of poplar. And it was so plain, I had to do something with it, right? So I took a drill bit, drilled a bunch of holes in it in different sizes, and filled it with resin-crete and sanded it down.
Polka dots.
Yep. So we got pink and blue and red and purple and yellow, and like I said. So I'm having fun with those for now. And that's all. Do you need to see my jig again? And my plate? Did I show you the plate?
Sure. Yep. Show that again and explain it to everybody.
Okay. Here's the plate that I got done after I used the jig, the hole cutting jig on it. I went around. Of course, I had to sand it, and I still ain't done nothing with it yet.
Looks good.
Mhm.
That's cool. I love that people are trying this. That's great.
It
Yeah.
looks really good, brother.
I guess you
Looks good.
removed the drill bit from the.
Yes,
from
I
the-
did.
Did you have
Jig.
fun trying to control that thing after you took the drill bit out?
Well, it's not hard to drill or control it when it goes inside here.
Oh, okay.
So you put it in here, then you start it up. The problem was you just couldn't tell how deep you were going. Was my biggest problem. So, you know, they're not all the same depth here. I don't know can you tell that or not?
You know,
No,
on
they
the
look
mic-
fine. They look fine from here.
Yeah, I can't tell.
Yeah.
you know,
Well-
on the micro motor, they sharpen the end of the cup burrs so it take most of the teeth off so it burns. You could burn those in there and you wouldn't have to sand it.
Hmm.
I bet that would work. Life's too short.
Yeah. I put
I
mine
never-
on my grinder and ground the two teeth off of mine, and I use it to cut sandpaper with sandpaper circles.
Yeah. I bet you could burn that into the wood. I bet that would burn pretty neat.
That would color it too.
Yeah.
Huh.
Jim, always
That
thinking.
would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Somebody asked where I got my coffee scoops at. I got all my kits like this at Penn State.
Yeah.
And I can tell you
Cool.
how much they are now because it's probably been a year since I got them. So
Very cool.
that's all I got.
All right. Well, thank you, Brenda.
Okay,
That's
Brenda.
great. Next up is Charlie. What you got, Charlie?
Hello. Wasn't here last week, so I got a couple of items. Another flower vase
Very nice.
made out of popple. Now, if you run across old drinking pop cups, water cups, whatever you want to call them, don't throw them away. The metal comes in handy.
Nice.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Another vase. I put handles on this one.
Oh, you like the handles.
Cool.
But now when I put the metal in, it went all the way down. I pulled it part way up because I was going to put a little glue on it. It ain't coming out no further.
Huh.
How'd
This
you
one has no finish on it yet.
how'd you put the handles on?
Rubber bands with rosin.
That's cool. What kind of wood is that?
This one's popple too.
That's pretty.
They're all my popple that I've showed is off of the same tree. We had a big one come down in the store.
Cool.
This little box is birch, salted birch.
Pop.
Cool.
Nice. What kind of finish?
It's one of the few times I got all the grain when I made the lid. The grain matches up.
How about that?
And I'm getting ready for Christmas.
Nice.
That's out of the same popple tree.
That's
It's starting to rot a little bit in the middle, and some of the chunks flew out. And instead of messing with it, and I did make it look natural. Last item. Last year we had a pine tree come down in my yard and went through the neighbor's garage.
Ooh. Ooh, look at the shine.
I don't know how many coats of tung oil I put on this one.
Is that dark
looks
color
good.
part of the wood?
Pardon?
Is that dark color part of the wood, or is
No,
that?
I burn when
You burned it?
I burn them. Pine to
Yeah,
me
it looks great.
looks blah.
Yeah, that's
And I-
great.
Looks good.
But when you burn it, it burns real nice when it's got lots of sap in it.
Yeah.
So
Nice job, Charlie.
Good, cool.
All right. Thank you, Charlie.
thank you.
Next up is Tom Kenny. What you got, Tom?
Is
Last
it-
time I showed a cherry bowl, and let me get rid of this pop-up. And this is a little bit smaller. This one's about 15 inches by about 4 inches deep.
Wow.
I think
Look
this
at that.
must have laid on the ground for a while. It looks like it's got some spalting down the middle. The heartwood is still, looks like cherry, but
Beautiful.
Yeah. Nice figure.
and this one will not be suitable for food use. As I was turning the tenon off, I had it on a vacuum chuck, and when I pulled it off, the vacuum chuck was full of dust, and I see some little teeny tiny holes where the dust went through. So that was a wormhole. So if you put salad dressing in this thing, it's going to be all over the table. So it'll be a decorative bowl. So
Beautiful.
that's it for this week.
All right.
That's
Nice.
beautiful.
Great,
Well,
Tom.
Holes and
Thank
stuff. Yeah.
Nice work. I like the
Thank you.
shape.
Yeah. Looks good.
Next up is Don. What you got, Don?
I've been working on, just so you that I got a memo there. Okay. I do a little bit larger pieces than some. And so this is one here that I've been working on. I average about one a month. And it's maple. And this top ball section was basically rotten. What happened was the tree had flipped over off the ground, and the root ball came up all by itself and was full of ants.
Uh-oh.
So it's hard to keep this thing from flashing. And so anyhow, I brought it home, and it was the whole top ground was white with mold, and as it sat in the lathe as I was turning it, and it was starting to dry out, I started to develop with black mold, which are not too friendly. And as you can see, a few of the spots came out to visit us. And then I painted on the bottom, which is thick, because there was no way to get a purchase off the top end of it. To turn the bottom, I had to do everything from a faceplate on the bottom, and I put 9 screws in it. And out of the 9 screws, I had to use epoxy in the holes in order to get the screws to stay in. So it's sort of a little bit of a challenge.
How did you stabilize the wood?
I don't.
Yeah.
I painted it black inside. I find that as I'm turning rotten wood, I'll use super glue to harden it where it wants to chunk out. As you're turning with the gouge, you'll end up with, in this particular case, I had one piece 3/8 of an inch thick by about 1.25 inches square that came out. And so I said, okay, guess it doesn't want to be there. So now the bowl is actually about 1/2 inch smaller in diameter than it would have been. And I just keep working at it. And I have a saying, as wood turning artists, we never make mistakes. They're only artistic opportunities. So
I like it. I really do. I like it.
So to get it so it looked right, I painted the bottom black. Originally, I wanted it to look this way. This was the direction that I originally was going with, but I couldn't get a purchase off the bottom now, which was the top, because it was just too rotten. I even tried gluing up and everything else, but there's no way to get enough strength out of it to hold the weight on that length. So sometimes we win, sometimes we lose.
Well, it sounds like you worked hard to get it completed. Nice work.
Nice save.
Yeah, this one, I usually average about one a month because of my arthritis. And I just go until I get sore and then I have to stop.
Don, I walked away for a second. Did you mention how you hollowed that? How'd you hollow that out?
Oh, I have a 3-inch Forstner bit that I put down the center to the depth that I want to go, and then I have the Trent Bosch boring system that I use to hollow the inside out. One thing that I find when I'm turning stuff like this is I have to take a break. And so when I take a break, I put a garbage bag over it while it's on the lathe, on the headstock and around the chuck and everything, or faceplate, whichever I've got it on, and to hold the moisture in. Because I found before when I didn't keep the moisture in, then I was getting all kinds of cracks. And as you notice, this is still a little bit quite damp, but it hasn't decided to separate yet.
So let's hope it sticks together.
Yeah,
We let nature does what nature wants to do.
Yeah.
It does. No
Yes, it
stopping her.
does. I think everybody will say
She's
that.
the real artist.
Well, it's a pretty piece, that's for sure.
Yeah, nice job, Don.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Don. Next up is Jim Duxbury.
Okay.
Jim.
Okay, this is kind of tame tonight. These are natural edge. This is the kind.
Testing.
Look at that. Jim made a plain old bowl.
You got it. With nothing in the center. This is pecan from the neighbor's tree.
Yeah.
And these are maple burls.
Ooh, nice.
Very nice.
Now you had to show off, I see.
The grain inside that bowl.
Very pretty.
Ooh.
Spectacular.
You wouldn't believe it. I got a whole tree of this stuff that damn near put me in the hospital. It was like 24 inches or 26 inches and 22 feet long. All burl, the whole tree.
Wow.
Wow.
Rita wanted to take the whole thing, and I said, no way. And we shared it with another tree,
Oh, nice.
a forest ranger from down here. But this is
Beautiful.
Just beautiful.
Wow.
Look at that bottom.
Quite stunning.
Yes. Pretty wood.
kind of tame, but anyway, I have to do some of like this once a
Oh, yeah, that's a good use for it.
That's it for me.
Very nice, Jim. Thank you. Next up is
Wait,
David Edwards.
in your chat, you said you have bulls to show. I thought you were going to show us 6. You like last week you showed us 5. But what would you call it? We've been talking with all the bulls stuck together. I thought you were going to goof around and say show us 6 tonight.
Those not bowls; those are spheres. Each one of those is a ball that intersects the other ball, intersecting spheres.
Right. I was calling them bulls.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Well,
all. I just thought you were going to show us like one with 8 or 9 of them.
no, not this week. I got to find a use for the ones I got. I'm making too many things that got no use.
Well, when you said four,
Well,
you said
if you
five.
can't,
That was like
if you can't find someone to take it, Jim, just send a few my way. I'll be happy to
Just stack it in your house. You got it.
I'll use them. I'll use them for something.
I don't know what you do with it, but anyway.
All right. Well, thanks very much, Jim.
Gotcha.
Put a marble in it, and let the cat chase it around.
You got it.
Okay. Next up is David Edwards. What you got, David? David, you're muted.
He's muted.
Can you hear me now?
There you go.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes.
I made this plain bowl courtesy of the wood from Matt Harbor. He given me some pieces of wood with bark on it. I tried it out with the bark, but it came off. So this is what I ended up with, courtesy of Matt Harper.
Pretty big.
Yeah, he had a tree that came down in his yard. He sliced it up and was giving it out to different people.
Yeah, Dave came over and got some cherry, so yeah.
I don't know. Oh, I didn't know what it was. Jerry, I didn't know what it was. So that's the reason I just had a plain bowl.
Good looking bowl, David.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Dave. Next up is Leonard. Maybe. There we go. What you got, Leonard?
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So not sure how well this is going to show. I kind of thought it might be washed. So I'm going to try something here. Hopefully it's not too bright. So it doesn't really show up. It shows up great in front
Pull
of
it back
me.
a little bit.
There
There you go.
So it's a piece of maple. It was dyed black and then a eggplant. It does have a test tube in the top, so it can be used as a vase.
That's really pretty, Lynn.
And then
That
I
looks cool.
tried a piece of, I think this will show up better. This is a piece of elm. It was pretty rotted. It weighs about half of what the other one does. But it just kept falling apart and falling apart. So I decided I was just going to leave it as is. There are wormholes still in it. You can see some of them up here along the top. It does have a test tube in it, but it was very, very light. But it just kept, it was so rotted, it was just kind of falling apart. So I used some wood hardener on it. This one has a walnut finish on it. This one is a has a wax finish on top of it. Yeah, my wife. So that's what I have.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
So,
Very nice.
thank you.
Nicely done. Thank you, Leonard. Next up
The little,
is
the little
Scott.
peekaboo thing was cute.
Yeah.
She's always
Next
worried
up-
about coming on. So she's always, if you ever see me going like this, that's because she's telling me to shut it off. So this time she decides she'll just poke in.
Okay, thanks. All right, next up is Scott.
I have a cross that we talked about last week in the after hours for Nick Agar. So here's my version of a cross.
Very nice.
Cool.
Very
Well
nice.
done, Scott.
Yep. Really.
What'd you make it out of?
It's a piece of pin cherry. It's spalted, and you can't really see it, but it's got a lot of
There you go.
spalting in it.
Mm-hmm.
I would have told him I made it out of wood.
Yeah, well, I'll get even with him later, Billy. That's all I
You
got.
guys always picking on me for.
All right, thanks, Scott. Thanks very much. Next up is Mark Soleil. What you got, Mark?
Immediately muted yourself, Mark.
Andy, shut his
You turned your
camera on.
video off.
There you go.
Still muted.
Mute
Now just
myself.
unmute.
Am
Yeah,
There
I
you
got
go.
you.
am I
We
good
got you.
now?
You're good
Yep.
now.
Okay, well, here's what I've got. I had one of my students, Casey Wilson, he was talking about making companion urns and everything. So I took a little block and I had an idea for most of the people that don't have fancy howling rigs and all they've got is a mini lathe or a midi lathe. So what I did is I just took the block and put a little shape. And on the inside, what I did, I just drilled it with a Forstner bit from the bottom. I threaded it, right? And then I made a bottom. Let me see if I can do this one-handed. Let's see if we can trying to do it through the phone here. I'm gonna set the phone down to throat. Okay. So what they can do is they can load the ashes. They can load the ashes in from the bottom, and then you just screw it up in there and it's done. And you don't have to have any type of hollowing machines and do all that stuff. All you gotta do is put a Forstner bit in there and leave it, that you put the tenon on the top, drill it with the Forstner bit, and then drill through the top. In this case, it has a 3/8 hole all the way through the tenon, right? Then you put it on you keep it on the chuck, put it on the threading machine, right? And do that, and then you can put it between centers, sand it and finish it, and then do your bottom.
What's the TPI? What's the TPI on that?
12.
12. Okay.
Right, and then you leave on the inside. Let me unscrew it again. I'll show you what I did. Right, just to make it simple for a student.
That's so little. It's got to be ashes for your canary or something.
No, well, it's just for a little companion urn, part of grandma, right? So what I did is I left a small tenon on this side so that I could turn around and make the concave when I finished it.
Nice.
That's all I got.
Mark, do you use a
Mark.
threading machine or do you chase your threads?
Well, you could chase it, but this time I used the Baxter threading
Okay,
machine.
got it.
And
Right on. Yeah, it looks
and I
great.
have my students can come over and if they can use my threading machine if they need to do things. But that was just an idea because a lot of people have problems. They're trying to make something proportional. Now this, I just took a piece of 3x3 wood, so the hole's a little bit big. It's not too gracious looking. And then I just, I glued the finial in. But anyway, that's an easy way for people with MIDI or mini lathes. And it wouldn't have to be threaded. They could just, after they put the ashes in, they could just glue it.
Yep.
Right.
Beautiful.
Anyway,
Very nice, Mark.
that's all I have.
Great
All right.
looking
Well,
piece
next
as
up,
always.
very
Great
nice. Next
idea,
up is
Mark.
What?
thank you, Mark.
Oh,
Thank you,
okay.
Mark.
Thank you.
Next up is James Carter. What you got, James?
Can y'all hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Okay, I was making sorry, a new system just to make sure I haven't played with it yet, so I'm trying to make sure what I've got. Well, this is actually some of my production work. I make tools for people in the stitching arts, and this little guy here is basically a very lethal looking, what they call a laying tool. To me, it looks like a vampire blow dart, but got a few here in some exotic woods. They're sanded to basically 21,000. No finish put on them because I don't want it to mess with the threads. But I can promise you those points are lethal. I have stabbed myself many a time and drawn blood while I've been making them. Got Purple Heart, Ciari Rosewood, Olive Wood, Honduran Rosewood, Cadillacs, and Bacote. And
very nice.
Just very just a little fun project that I do for just one of my production pieces. I finished these up and I'm like, hey, I got something to show for once. So
What is it? What does it do?
they're called it's called a laying tool. Basically, if you're doing hand embroidery, needlepoint, cross stitch, you normally have multiple threads coming through with the needle, and so that way they can get that to lay straight as they're pulling it tight. They use this to flatten the thread out, so they get it to lay the way they want to. Hence the term laying tool.
Huh.
They have a bunch of funky terminology that would make a lot of people giggle when they hear them talk about it. So
You're sanded to 21,000 grit?
well, they're whatever micro mesh will go to.
Yeah.
Full micro mesh.
Toilet paper is more abrasive than that.
Pretty much, yeah. But it's also when it needs to not have any imperfections in the wood, or it's going to snag the thread, cause the thread to fray, and that would be the last thing I want to do.
What do you finish it with then? What's the finish?
I don't finish it.
No.
There is no finish.
finish.
I use
Just a
woods that
polish.
don't require a finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a really high sand rate, buff with a piece of leather. That's pretty much all. I mean, once I'm done sanding it, I'll clean it with some acetone, just to get any dust off of it, and then buff it with a leather with an old leather beat up rag. It's an old car polishing rag. That's leather, but it works, and that's all I care about. You know, it's still good even though there's holes in it. It still works. So, but yeah, it's
Round the ends off and
this
make
is actually the product
beautiful hair
started
sticks.
my career, so I can't complain.
Those are really nice, James.
Beautiful.
Very,
They look
very
great.
sharp, James.
I can promise you they are very sharp.
Yeah. Yeah, you can get
Points
the point on that.
Points will hurt you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well done.
Very
Well
cool.
done.
Yep.
Okay. Next up is Ray. What you got, Ray?
Well, I promised everybody I would take it easy, and it's been about a month now since I broke my back, and I'm moving around pretty good, and I'm off pain meds. So I went out to the lathe and turned 2 blanks of tops. So these little guys are Siberian elm. And then I got some hard maple with done up with Sharpies.
Nice.
And so keeping in with the baby steps, and then I also did a little apple.
I
bowl.
need to get me.
Heard it.
That's a really
And this was-
nice shape, Ray. Nicely done.
Yeah, this was actually one of the first bowls I roughed out from 2 years ago, and I just found it, and so I finished it with the axe set, and I was playing around with how Tommy and Richard keep the foot on it, and I kind of messed up. If you could see, I didn't get the perfect circle.
Yep.
But
Oh, and then
at a later date, I could just vacuum chuck that up or jam chuck it up and get rid of that tenon, or just
Oh,
keep
yeah.
it as is. Because they actually kind of landed pretty perfect, and it's like 8 little triangles on the bottom.
yeah.
Yeah. Write it off as a feature, or use a wood burner and featureize it.
Oh,
So
yeah,
it's-
enhance them a little bit. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, thanks, guys.
Very nice.
Add
Ray.
another $5 to it.
20,
Mhm.
20.
Right. Well, $5 for each pick mark.
Yeah.
That works for me.
right?
I'll make it a trademark. Just do it to all of them.
There you
There
go.
you go.
Glad you're back at it.
Okay.
Ray.
Next up is Clayton. What do you got, Clayton?
Hey,
Hey, Clayton.
The new guy's back.
I am. Last week we were talking about the Nick Agar tribute, and so I still want to rework it, but I ended up making one that it, would be in the spirit of. So it's got the texturing and it's got kind of the start of a sunset kind of
nice
dying scheme.
Nice.
But yeah, it's one of those things. If you're gonna do a tribute, you might as well like spend the time on it. So I'm gonna go try to rework where the dye didn't quite get down at the bottom. But that's what I was working on this afternoon. I still caught me red-handed with it.
How are you applying the color, Clayton?
Paper towel, and I think this food coloring is from
Okay, cool.
Kroger that it expired in 2005, and it still works really well. I'm surprised with it, but it does really well. I have the Hampshire Sheen intrinsic colors also, but that would have got my whole hand if I'd gotten this messy with it. The second thing is it's after Mother's Day. I gave these out to a few people, and my mom let me show the one that I made for her. But I've been working on, I don't know, weird stuff, if it'll focus. And so this is just Purple Heart and Maple, but it's I think a purple iris that is 100% just turned. So each individual blade is turned, remounted, turned, and then kind of eventually hollowed in from the inside. And
it's very nice.
Very
Nice.
nice. Yep, it's very nice.
Impressive.
That's all I got.
It is impressive. All right. Thank you, sir.
Nice.
Thank you very much, Clay. Dane, let's go back to you.
Pretty good mood. Yeah. All right. Well, with that, we've had a lot of good galleries so far tonight. Just check, make sure nobody popped back in. Nope. So with that, let's get our safety moment on, and then pretty sure I got a nice little feature demonstration scheduled for this evening. But let's get our safety on first. Sue, what you got for us?
How are you?
Oh, and you're in your new room.
I'm in my bedroom. Yes.
Oh no.
Yeah, they're moving a bed in through the house right now, so
yeah,
you can stay in here with me. But anyways, we're going to talk about something that we never talk about, and that's going to be.
Oh no, your voice is
losing you.
Mute Joe Gibson.
Big time echo.
Mute Joe Gibson.
That's weird. But anyways, we're going to talk about drill presses. Now I've got a floor standing. A lot of people have desks, counter sitting. But a lot of us also drill on our lathes, and that's so convenient because with the bigger bits and the Forstner bits, we can slow the lathes way down. But a lot of folks forget that you're going to be drilling on your drill press to do the same. And mine's got 6 pulleys in there. It's the old-fashioned kind. Nothing's automatic. But you need to know when to check your belts to make sure they're safe. And you need to know how to put the belts on so it doesn't run at 10,000 RPMs instead of 700 RPMs. And if you're not sure, just play with it. Also, keep everything in good running condition. A lot of it is cast iron. Make sure that you clean the cast iron. When I got this was a used drill press, and the pedestal was all rusty, and the zipper type thing that your table goes up and down on that was disconnected and all that. So yeah, look at your drill press, see what needs to be done, and fix it so that it runs optimally, and be safe out there. I also, we have, make yourself a fence for that drill press. Make it so that you can have hold downs to hold your pieces secure, so that when you start drilling, in case you start drilling fast, it doesn't fly off and hit your garage door or hit you in the head. So also, if you can, use, and you're doing dry wood, for heaven's sakes, make sure you have your safety glasses on, your respirator on. And if you can do dust control with it, do that too. Remember, it's all wood, folks, and we don't need that in our lungs, in our eyes, or anyplace else. So take care, be careful this week, and remember, it's not just the lathe we use. We use other objects as well. Take care. See you next Wednesday.
Good advice, Sue. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So with that, let's swing over to Prescott, Arizona, north of me. See if Mr. Doug Rowe is in the shop. And he is. Looky there. So Doug is going to be doing a demo for us tonight.
Check my hair, make sure my hair looks good.
Oh,
yep,
I like.
Yep, hair looks great.
All right, that's good.
It's a picture of what we're looking at.
There we go. All right.
That's Doug Flock of Seagulls Rowe.
Make sure my sleeves aren't too long. I don't want to upset Sue. Make sure my sleeves are good. Okay. Yeah, that looks good, right? Shorts
There you go.
long.
Yeah, you might need to crank your shorts up. They're a little long.
I got to give them the Baywatch roll. That would be, those can get caught. All right, I'll stop goofing around.
Are you wearing a jock? Are you wearing a jock?
All right. So
Are you
with
wearing a
that,
cup?
so with that, Doug's going to be doing the demo tonight. Doug's going to turn the way Doug turns, and we're going to try and keep questions till the end of the demo. You can throw questions into the chat, and then periodically I will ask Doug at opportune times when he's doing a tool changeover or making a repositioning on his lathe for his turning piece, unless he stops and sequesters questions from the gallery. Other than that, I will mute everybody now. Doug, you'll have to unmute yourself, so I'm muting now. And I got you.
And you got me back?
I got you back.
Now, what about my phone? Because we were talking about this last week. Right now, I have it vertical. Do you want me to turn it more? See if it's better?
Turn it sideways.
Okay, give me just a second.
Then you'll have to reposition it.
Oh,
well, you're still in front. Yes, you're good.
I think I liked it the other way better. All right.
There you
go. So I did more of a Dean Grimes style, left the limb as natural as possible. That's where the bark had already come off. And then spun my cross, and then I parted it off. It's really thin on this side, so there really wasn't much hogging out. It's just the Forstner bit. You can, I don't know if the light will catch it just right. You can even see where the brad point was still in there.
Looks good.
And then my bandsaw got a little squiggly on me, but I kind of left it, and my wife said, oh, it makes it look more rustic. So no sanding, no finish. It's just as is to look rough.
The old rugged cross.
Yep. Then this was a little something I was goofing around with. Made a little lidded pot here. I did post this on TikTok and Facebook, so you may have seen it on there already.
Yeah. It's that elm. Pretty.
A little silicone inlay that's out of a mold. I don't know if that face of the moon and sun is showing up for you guys or not.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And then, anyways, so the those are my 2 gallery items. All right,
Well
here's
done.
what we're going to make tonight. 3-tiered candy dish out of 1 piece of wood. That's the idea anyway. The top part takes the longest to hog out, and this is all end grain. It's a straight limb off of a tree, and we're going to do it the same way. So I started another one just in case this process starts taking too long. Then we're going to do the magic, pop the one off the lathe and put the other one on that I've started already, which also is not complete, but it's further along. With that said, the chunk of wood that we're going to be using is a piece of elm, and it is very dry. So yes, I will have my respirator and my shield on tonight, Sue. And let me. Okay, you guys can see that now?
Yes.
So we're going to start off between centers. So we're just going to make our 4 + 2 lines here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Create our little box. Add 2 more. Connect corner to corner. That's close enough for government work. 1, 2, 3, 4. Make a little box. Connect corner to corner. There's our points. I got a spur drive in the chuck, live center in the tailstock, using the trick I learned from Doug Miller and just sticking it in the chuck instead of in the spindle. That way I don't have to pick up bar later.
Doug, what's the size of your log there?
Oh, let me grab the more than 12.
7 by 14.
We're like right at 12 inches long.
Okay.
And of course, we've got a really long side here because that's coming out to 8. But on the more round side, 6 3/4. 7 right there. Yeah, we're still pretty close to 7 right there. This side's a lot more round than the other side is. We could drill out a hole for the spur drive to fit in there. For me, it's a 1 1/8 Forstner bit, but I'm not going to be between centers that long, just long enough to make a tenon. So I'm not going to go that far. All right, and then I'm going to bring you guys on this side because I think you'll see more of the making it round.
Yeah, it works good.
That angle look all right for you? Okay. So this is pretty complicated stuff right here. We're going to take a non-round object and make it round. I guess we've all done that a time or two. And let me cover up the face and we'll get going. I'm going to start off with a roughing gouge.
The RPM is at 706 for anybody that cares about that stuff.
Use a rough and gouge like that when you want to make short work of roughing.
Yeah, just a little bit more round. Right, now we just got a round log here. And I'm gonna square up this side a little bit better, and I'm gonna change over to bull gouge.
Okay. Hey, Doug. Hey, Doug.
All right, that just got out of my way so I can see it a little better. And then I'm just gonna do the same thing to this side.
Hey, Doug, you may need to adjust your tool rest height.
Yeah. Okay, and now I'm just gonna make a tenon on this side real quick. Okay, just a little closer. And I have my 5-inch jaws on this one, so to save us a little time. I think that's what I'll do. I use this chuck instead, that way I don't have to go as small. Yeah, let's do that. All right, get that a little bit better. A little more better. All right, I think my 5-inch jaws will grab that. Let's take a look and see. I think. Oh no, did I go too small?
You got plenty of room to come down with a new one.
Yeah, I thought that was gonna be too big. I eyeballed that totally wrong. We can fix it.
Hey, Doug, what kind of wood was that?
Elm,
Elm, that's what I thought.
really common wood in my parts. I can't believe I did that. I really thought I didn't make it. I thought I made it too big. I guess I'm used to using the smaller jaws too much.
Well, if that's the only demo-itis you have, it's best to get it out of the way right now on a pesky little tendon.
And measure, don't eyeball the next one.
I made that bigger one. Let me get the smaller stuff out of the way. We're almost there. Okay, I didn't realize we were gonna have a whole demo on how long can it take Doug to make a tenon. What else?
Nothing wrong with that. But you're probably going to have to clean up the stuff there in the center.
Yeah, here in just a second. Oh, of course, it's just not gonna fit.
There you go.
Okay, now this will give everybody a good laugh. As I go to take my chuck off. Because the little spanner wrench or whatever you call it to take it off is stripped out on me. So we'll fix that situation. Where the pipe wrench? Try to put my screwdriver away too.
After the demo, we'll tell you another way to do that.
What's that? To get the chuck off?
Yeah.
Yeah, the little holes in there just
Right.
got all too rounded out. With my one way, it's kind of nice because I just use the tool. It's big enough to grab it.
Got plenty of time. Don't feel rushed.
Okay.
Take your time. You got the demo jitters out of the way. Now it's all about turning.
Okay, I'm gonna take this off so I can talk for a minute and then kind of
Explain what we're doing here. So now I gotta kind of lay out where I want all the bowls to be. And let's see, if I go, now you guys can see that side a little bit straighter, right?
Perfect.
So obviously that's all waste wood. We don't care about it. And I definitely don't want to use that for any type of measurement. I want to measure off this line right here. And I got to figure out how much room do I have to work with. About 10.5 inches to include taking the tenon off the bottom and all of that. At 10.5, that's got to be my no nonsense bottom right there. I can't go below that. And so at that point, now I just got to lay it out and decide how thick do I want the bowls and how much room do I want in between each bowl. The bowls seem to look pretty nice if they're about 2 inches or so. And I just dropped my demo piece over here. There we go. So, but I mean, they can be whatever size you want each of the bowls to be. What I found doing quite a few of these is obviously the further apart they are, the easier it's going to be to hog out the next one. When they get too close, it gets real tight trying to get that tool in there. And so I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to kind of get in there tonight, depending on what tools you have. But so with that said, that's our bowl. And we went 2 inches and then 3 inches. Yeah, so that would be waste wood right there. That would be the top of the next one. So 2 inches. And then 3. That's not going to give me a big enough bowl. I guess I should have did the quick math. That's why I teach social studies and not math. Where's Duxbury? Is he on here? Hey, what's my spacing that needs to be? Let's go 1.5 and see how that lays out. It's 1.5 and then. Yeah, that's gonna be pretty tight too. I should have started off with a bigger piece.
Yeah, just scale it down. You'll be fine.
I mean, we could just do a 2 bowler tonight just to make it a little quicker, but no, we said we're gonna do 3. We're gonna do 3.
Yeah, gonna hold you to 3. Just make the top one smaller.
Yeah. Yeah, those ones will work out. Quite get the flat spot all the way out right there. So with that said, okay, so this will be a bowl, waste wood, bowl, waste wood, and a bowl. Since our tendon's already on this side, we're just gonna make this the bottom. So I'm gonna have to round this out a little bit more to get rid of this flat spot, because the last bowl needs to be the biggest bowl, and then that kind of sets the size of the bowls all the way down. And throw all this stuff back on.
What do you figure that diameter is now? 6 inches?
Here, you know what? I think I got a cloth paper around here somewhere. I don't know where my cloth tape is, so let's do it this way. Whoops. I just sorted that tape. Let me try that again. I'll tape in half, and then I'll tell you. It's that big around.
Yeah, tell me the length of it, and I'll tell you the diameter. So you're at 12. What is that? 14?
Yeah.
15 inches?
Come here, little tape. $16, so probably about 8.
About 5 inches.
Yeah.
Just over 5 inches.
Just over 5. All right. Let me cover my face up again. That's it. I'm gonna lower the tripod and see if it gives you guys a better straight on view of it. Is that any better?
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm gonna put these lines in so I don't lose them. And then, like I said, there's a big flat spot right here still, so I gotta get that out first. Bull gouge again. A little bit more, not much. Okay, so that'll be the bottom bowl. So this one's got to be smaller, and that one's got to be even smaller than that. And so now we just kind of start turning this wood away, get rid of a lot of material here. We don't got to make anything pretty at this point. Okay, so now we kind of see our three bowls. So now we went on to make this one a little smaller than that one. Switching bowl gouges, not because that one's dull yet, it's just hot. Okay, so I can see a significant height difference in those. We can always make it smaller later if we want to.
Hey,
Let's
Doug,
shrink this
you
one
need
down.
to,
Look smaller.
Doug,
than that one. Is there a question?
Doug,
Yeah.
yes. Do you need to adjust your tool rest height for your bowl gouge?
Yeah. I'm okay for right now till this gets a little smaller.
Okay.
So, and if there's anybody that doesn't understand what Dave and I are talking about, most of the time with a bowl gouge, you want to be cutting right at about center, right? And so I'm a little bit higher than that. But for rough spindle turning, that's just where I like it. I can move a lot of material faster and not worry about a catch as much. But then as it shrinks down, I'll
Exactly.
have to bring my tool rest down. But I don't know. Can you guys see that? I'm pretty far above center right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
You said the magic word, less chance of a violent catch.
That's hot. Okay, so it all looks really ugly right now, but there's one bowl, two bowl, three bowls. All that goes away till we turn it down to a little spindle. It goes away till we turn it into a little spindle. To save us a little time, I'm going
You got plenty of time. You only been turning for 30 minutes.
Well, I'll leave it up to you guys. You can watch me take away this waste wood and form the bowls, or I can throw another one on here where it's not all the way done, but further along than this one.
Let's take away some of the wasted wood and then form the bowl and then flip it, switch it out to the other.
Because the one that
That'll
takes
work.
the longest to hog out is this one. And of course, that's because of the pressure, right? We're turning end grain and we're pretty far off the tailstock. The other one I've already done that on. So you won't have, that takes me like almost an hour just to do that bowl. But yeah, we can form the bowl and take this away real quick.
Okay.
Well, not real quick, but unless I start getting
plenty of
blisters
time.
on my hands.
You got plenty of time, Doug.
Alrighty. Are there any questions while I'm putting this back on my face?
No, not
Okay.
at the moment. Thank you.
You guys probably can't even see the tool cutting though right there, can you?
Yeah, we can sit.
You can, okay, I was gonna say, cause I can throw the camera on the other side of the lathe maybe and see. But anyways, I'm just taking a gentle slice to start sloping the bowl around now. Good. And so, kind of like if you made goblets and stuff, you can't take the stem down until you have the bowl hogged down. Otherwise, it's going to be too weak and it'll just snap on you. So I'm going to leave quite a bit of material here initially. Bring you guys down just a little bit. Good, Neil Glaze. Kind of looks like a really ugly chess piece right now.
So you got the profiles laid out for the diameters for the 3 bowls.
Yep.
So what the next step would be to hog out
Next step, I would leave this thick just to give me my stability, and then I'd start hogging out this first bowl. And if you have a steady rest, you could make this smoother. Right now, these are super rough cuts, so a steady rest would just bounce too much. But I could make that smooth and then put a steady rest on there to help me hold it a little better. But I've made plenty of them without the steady rest, and I was kind of hoping to do that tonight. Just use as limited tools as possible because not everybody has everything.
Right. You can still leave the tailstock in there to while you're hogging out to
right, get as much as you can. Or most of the time, I'll use the Forstner bit to take out a little bit of the center first, and then work the cross grain out, and then kind of get down in there. All right, let me pop this bad boy off, and then whoops, and I have to put my other chuck on because my other one has a different size tenon on it. Hey, you put the chuck on this way, it fits better.
amazing how that works. Seem like that in the southern hemisphere.
All right.
Then after you chuck that up, you probably need to go sharpen your tools, huh?
Yeah, and I'm probably gonna have to true this up a little bit too.
Did you mark your tenon location when you took it off?
I pulled this off last Wednesday to when after hours when I made that first cross. And when I pulled it off, I said, "Oh, I should have marked that first." It's really dry, so I know it didn't move that much, but probably moved a little. Yeah, a little. So we'll set this big chunk aside. And I need to fix my footing here because I'm kind of up in shavings. All these shavings and we haven't even made anything yet.
What? All those shavings and you haven't made anything yet. Got it. Got it.
What's that?
You said all those shavings and you haven't made anything yet.
Nope. All right. And I don't want this live center in there. So because I've already turned that bowl, I don't want to stick a live center and put a hole in there again. So I just have one that doesn't have the spike in it. And then this is just a little cut off of a piece of mat.
Yoga mat.
Mats. And I just, stick it in there like so. Uh-oh. Hold on.
Hey, Doug.
Yeah.
Hey, Doug, you stand corrected. Billy says you have made something. You've made a mess.
Oh, okay. Right, something like that. Okay.
Are you going to go sharpen?
It's gonna be a minute before I can hear you. My air compressor just kicked on.
I'm gonna go sharpen these real quick.
Yay. Now I can stop asking. Ain't that right, Billy?
Zachary.
He's not going to touch the top bowl. He'll probably clean up that center shaft, touch up the outside profile of the middle bowl. Maybe do a little bit on the inside of the middle bowl, but he won't be touching the top bowl.
That's 2 times in a row I heard you say he won't be touching the pot bowl.
I can't help the accent.
Okay. All right, so we're just gonna true this up a little bit to get that wobble out of it.
Oh no. You're not gonna touch that top bowl, are you?
Yeah, we're gonna try. Worst
Oh,
case, it snaps and you guys get a cool show.
check your tool rest height with your gouge.
Yeah.
You know I'm conscious of that with you.
I still got a lot of material there. There's no cracking in there, so hopefully it holds.
Please be careful, Doug. It doesn't look true anymore up there.
No, it's definitely not. That's why I'm saying I need to fix it.
It's gonna explode, Doug.
It's not gonna explode.
Just
And if it does,
go slow at first. Just go.
I don't know. I'd be tempted to go fast, but hey, what do I know?
I'd be going fast.
Sometimes something out of whack looks cool anyway, Doug.
Yeah, I gotta take it out. It was a little bit more than I thought it was. Plus, it would take them forever to get another one of these this far along to get it ready for you guys.
Good choice.
They actually might be able to true it back up once I sand it anyway. Maybe not completely, but closer than it is. Okay, that was a little bit more balanced out. Okay, it's taking a lot less now. All right, so I'll take this off so I can talk us through it again. So I don't know if we've got anybody on here that hasn't made a goblet. That's like kind of an early thing that people make when they first start wood turning. So I'm hoping most of you have, or all of you have. But so essentially, this whole part gets turned just like a goblet. You get your general shape, but before your stem gets too thin, you got to hog that all out. Otherwise, this gets too shaky and you just break the stem off. So what I had done was, once I had my general shape, then I used my Jacobs chuck with a Forstner bit and took out the center, and then just gently kept opening this up, opening it up until I got to where I wanted it to be. Then I bring the stem down a little bit, and on this one I got to start working in this way and this way, and then of course the stem's going to get in my way. So then as I bring the stem down, then I have to bring the stem back up to match. And this is where it's got to be a real soft touch, so I don't break that stem, but yet get it small enough to where we can open up this second tier, and then it'll be the same thing on the third. So right now, this second tier is not as deep as we'd like it to be. It can be a little bit deeper. Where, let's see if I bring you this way. We're not quite to where it starts making the curve down, and that's where I'd really like it to be. And then that gives me plenty of room once I start shaping the bottom of the bowl. I've made the mistake of taking the second tier too deep, and then I started shaping the bottom of the bowl, and I turned a funnel from the other end. Instead of going through it, I created a funnel by going through, and then the whole thing came apart. So, got to leave a little material there to play with. Okay, so then what tool to get down in there? So your bowl gouge as far as it'll take you. And then I like the round carbide tools. And then, so this is what I turned. Let me see if we back up a little bit. That's what I turned most of it with. And then I have a different attachment. That just, this one comes out, that one slides in, just to give me a little bit better angle.
Okay.
So any questions about that so far? I think it's all pretty straightforward.
Are you going to show how to do it?
Yeah. So I've already turned it as far as I can with this one. So I'm going to have to switch out now. I mean, I guess I can stick it in there and show you, but there's not a very good angle left anymore. Let me go ahead and cover my face back up.
Doing a good job, Doug.
Well, thank you.
Be mindful of your tool rest height.
Okay. So let's see. I'm not staring at my shoulder. Can you guys see in there all right now?
Yes.
As best you can. So as you can see, I'm at a bad angle now. So I've pretty much gone about as far as I can go with a straight tool. Oh, this is really wobbly right there too.
It's only wobbly when it turns slow. I'll get him to move his tripod when he quits here.
And then I've got to move you guys to the other side, otherwise you're just gonna stare at the back of my
Yep,
head.
that's what I was getting ready to say.
Yeah.
Throw it on the back side of the lathe. Little closer and to the side. Right there. Oh, right there.
We got to get you off the pads and everything. Okay, now tell me when.
That's good.
Okay.
Should be.
Okay, so I'm just gonna try and straighten that stem out a little bit more now. And then just like a goblet, this is where if you wanted to leave enough material, then you could put like a little captive ring in there or some sort of decorative little doodad as you transition from your bowl down. But right now we're just gonna straighten it out. Keep it boring, but get it done. All right, that's about as far as I'm gonna push my luck with that. And then I'll put the gooseneck on here and take this down just a little bit deeper and show you how that works. And I don't know if is Matt Harbor on?
Of course he is.
He's always good at finding our stuff and putting it in the chat. But I got these off Amazon. That's the Define, I guess. And it's a kit. And so it comes with the little case, and then it comes with a straight square, straight circle, gooseneck circle, and a straight diamond. And it's with one of their cheaper sets, carbide sets. I don't remember exactly how much I paid for it, but
I got it, Doug.
see, told you he's so good at that. And then the bowl gouges that I was using, one is the Hurricane, and it is their, what's the different seals, M4 and M2? So that's the Hurricane 5/8 bowl gouge is what I was using off Amazon. And then this one is my expensive one. That is the Carter and Sons.
M42.
Yeah, M42, that's what I was trying to say. So this is because Hurricane makes both with the higher end steel and the lower end steel. So this one is their higher end steel. And I got to tell you, I've been really, really pleased with this bowl gouge. The big difference between this one and my Carter and Son is the Carter and Son just holds the edge longer. But other than that, they're super similar.
All right. So we've got that set up. Let me rearrange the tool rest again. Do something about like that. And then shine some light on the subject. And then I'm gonna see if I can raise you guys up and have you look down in there. I can remember how this does that. There it is. Can you see the top of the tool rest yet? Whoops.
Yes, ish.
That'll be a way to get you guys a little closer. Now can you see in there a little better?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, about like that, so I'm gonna be cutting. Yeah. And of course, I can't see the tool cutting here, so I have to watch the line crawl up on the other side. But that's about how that tool works. So now we'll do all of this right here so you guys can see a full one get made. So that will bring it back to this side. It's too tall again. Mm. And so I think now you can see like the more space you give yourself between the bowls, the more of an angle you can get in there. So I'm gonna put you guys on the other side just so I get a little bit more out without having you stare at my shoulder. So you'll see the material go away right here.
Kristen's gonna come by.
Hmm?
Kristen's gonna come by. She needs some advice.
That's about as far as I can get with my bow down. So since we've already got this one on there.
Hey, Doug,
Yeah.
right there on top, is that a crack? Oh, right there, is that a crack?
Yes.
Be careful.
Yeah. It goes the whole way.
It's normal for our wood out here.
It's all right. It's just a crack that runs all the way through.
Yeah. Yeah, it survived the first segment, so should work down there, right?
Just say no to crack. Nancy Reagan.
Yeah, it doesn't go all the way through to the other side. We're safe.
Not yet. You guys aren't seeing any of that. Hold on, let me see if I can move my dust collector out of the way and reposition the camera better.
Yeah, you don't need no darn dust collection.
There, now you can at least see the stuff that I'm working on anyway. Got tons of room in them. All right, if it wasn't a demo, I'd go a lot thinner, but it'll break if we do, so let's go and just finish up this bowl.
So Doug, for that crack, would you seal that with some CA
Yeah, and then
normally?
the other thing that I've done when I've got these cracks like this, I'll seal them with the CA, take it a little lower, and then just for extra insurance while I'm working on this stuff, I'll wrap the post in electrical tape just to give me a little bit more insurance. I don't know if it makes a difference, but it makes me feel like it does.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, it would give it a little bit more stability.
And that's about it. It's just, we can always make it thinner and deeper, thinner and deeper. And then, I can part it off right now, but then I wouldn't be able to go back and sand it all up and everything. But if you guys
Right.
want to see me part it off, I don't care. I have enough of these.
Would you guys rather see me part it off or just leave it?
Well, you want to rework it, right? Without the stresses of being on camera.
Well, yeah, because we don't want to stand here and watch me sand everything tonight.
Nah.
But yeah, so essentially it just gets parted off here, and then it's just like the other one that I had wherever I put it down. So then once we part it off, then boop, and it would be just like that. These ones just have deeper bowls on them.
Right.
I would seal it up right now. I wouldn't mess with it. You did a lot of work in it. That's my 2 cents.
Leave your tenon on it, that way you can rework it off camera.
Right.
Without the stresses of being on camera.
Do you Mark Jaw 1?
So one at a time, there's questions. So
okay. Let me get my hairdo up. All right.
There you go. Yep. Fix your hair.
Gotta look good for the camera.
Hey,
All
Doug.
right.
Yeah.
So the question I have is, on your second bowl, wouldn't it be better to shape the outside of the second bowl before hollowing the inside? That way you have the correct diameter and everything without risking going through the center and the bottom?
I would agree, yes. And but it always seems like after I've hogged it out and then I start coming around, then I realize, oh, I left more material than I needed to, and then I wind up reshaping it again. As long as you're not touching the sides of it too much.
Right.
Where I was reshaping that one, it's because there was a lot of material on the bottom.
Okay. Yeah.
But otherwise, that I would agree. Once you've hogged it out too much, if you start messing with the sides, then that's where bad things can happen, which is what everybody was so stressing about if I was going to touch this one, because this one is hogged all the way down. You know, because there's not a lot of material there. And it's so I probably would have blew that one up if I'd have touched the sides.
How big around are your stems?
So these ones are pretty thick, and again, it's because these are tree limbs, so it's got the pith in it. And so this one, I'll see if I can find where I filled in the cracks on this one. I filled them in right here. I don't know how well you guys will see that. That was all cracked right there. And that's all filled back in. So if it was a, regular, I don't know if regular wood is the right word, but not the pith, right? Then you could get them a lot thinner.
So how dry is your wood?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I don't have a moisture meter handy, but this tree was died many, many years ago and had been laying in somebody's backyard for many years. So it's, if I just,
2%.
What's that?
It's probably 2%.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
It's dry.
There is no moisture in this wood at all. It burns the heck out of my hands when I get too close to it. Anything else?
How well do these things sell?
When I do the art shows with my local wood turning club, I've sold all of them that I've taken there. And every time I make one live on Facebook or TikTok, somebody's asking, how much can I buy it? Can I buy it? So I guess, and I don't think that they're anything super special. It's just they're not as common as just bowls. When I go to the art shows with my wood turning club, most everybody's making bowls, or they get a little fancier with the lidded pots and things like that. But then this sitting there next to 10 bowls, I think it just catches their eye.
Right.
Certainly does.
Yeah.
Certainly does. Doug, that was very enjoyable all night. It was a great night. Thank you.
Great demo,
Great
Doug.
demo.
Thanks.
Very
Yes,
nice.
it
Thank
was.
you.
Doug, make sure you save the chat. That way you can go back and read our comments.
Oh, I'm on a phone, so I can't. But if somebody wants to
Oh,
save them,
okay.
email them to me. Doug
Okay, yeah.
@gmail.com.
Thanks for
I
keeping your
will
clothes
do
on
that.
tonight, Doug.
Yeah.
Enjoyed
Hey.
your demo though.
I
Not
saved the
as
chat.
fun of a demo as your pumpkin, but close.
Maybe we'll do that again this October because we didn't do one last year. That was like 2 years ago that we did that.
Yes.
Better
And
year
for
late than
anybody
mine.
that doesn't know what we're talking about, you can go on YouTube. I was not the first person by any means to do it, but we did. We actually threw a pumpkin on the lathe and we turned it down thin and gave it a weird shape, and it was kind of fun, messy. I wish you were all here to help me clean up, but I had to do that part by myself.
Yeah, right.
We were there in spirit.
Great demo, Doug. Thanks.
Thanks. Well, shall
Yeah,
we
it was,
back to
Good,
gallery?
Doug.
Well, we don't have any gallery at the moment, so we got open floor. So
Well, if you guys have any questions about the shop then or anything like that, I had this
show
one
off your
come in
show
my fourth year now of being in this shop.
show off your coat tree.
Oh, okay. Let me give the camera the flippity flip. There we go. So, tree that I cut down out of the neighbor's yard, and then disassembled an office chair. Drilled out the bottom with a regular hand drill, so I could make it all fit. And now it's my coat rack.
I like that.
That's excellent.
That looks like fun.
That is excellent.
What's really interesting, let me see if I can get close enough. All these little holes, well, they actually have a purpose. At school, we do a family fun fair, and the PTO had some tree made out of cardboard or something that they would put the little dum-dum lollipops in, and then the kids would have to pull it out, and if it had color on the bottom, they got a extra prize. And so they were talking about they needed a new lollipop tree. And I got to thinking, I was like, I have a tree on wheels in my workshop. And so one of the other teachers / PTO members came over. She brought some dum-dum lollipops. We found the right size drill bit. And so we put holes all over this thing and decorated the whole thing in lollipops. And the kids just loved it.
Wow. Yeah, it's slick. And then can you show off your tool rest racks?
So
your yeah, you know what I mean.
yeah. So this one's on a Lazy Susan. And so these are the ones that I use the most. And that's just set on a little plastic workbench. Then this one I built, again, disassembled an office chair so it'll roll around, and then grab some extra wood that I had laying around and built my platform. And then that comes down just so I have a little place to put my sandpaper and whatnot. Drilled out several holes so I could put the different turning tools in there. This extra piece I picked up from another wood turner that was getting rid of it, and then just mounted it on the side. And so now the whole thing can just roll around my shop as needed. And then I can take the tools out and I can pull this out on that side to get all the shavings out when I feel like it. So the one thing I would caution you on, if you're going to make your own tool holders and whatnot, I've seen lots of variations, but I didn't come up with this on my own. Somebody else gave me this warning, so I'm just passing on knowledge. However you're going to stack your tools or place your tools, you want them high enough off the ground that when you fall, not if you fall, but when you fall in your shop, you're not landing on a bunch of swords. And so I've been in other people's shops where they've got the 5-gallon bucket on the floor with the piece of plywood in there with the holes in there. They're in there.
Right.
And it's nice because you can just reach right over and grab what you want. But when you fall, and you're going to land right on that. With this one, I'd actually even like it a little bit higher, but it's far enough that if I fall, I'm probably catching the edges and then hitting the ground, but I'm not piercing my whole body on them.
Yeah, you remember not to reach for it right when you catch the first tool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my tool rack, it's all of my tools are blade down.
Blade down, yeah. I'm too lazy to do that because I want to know.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to sit there and go, which one?
And then
I
explain
pretty much know where everything is.
Yeah.
Mark the handles with a special mark so you
Right.
know which tool it is.
And then how many of you will agree with this statement? With all these 900 million turning tools, plus there's a bunch more in that bucket up there, I only use about 4 or 5 of them though.
Yeah, I use a max of 7.
7, yeah.
Yeah, that's about the truth. Yeah.
But I
Wow,
just can't say
that-
no. You know, I'm at a garage sale. I'm like, oh, that's a turning tool. Let me buy that.
What?
Yeah, I won't say that I haven't done exactly the same thing.
We tend to turn the same type of thing, which is why we usually only use a certain number of tools, but don't ever tell our wives that we don't use them all.
Right, exactly.
That's right.
Or
Yeah,
husbands.
sounds wise.
Or husbands.
Oh, that's
Right.
good.
I use
That's
all
the
mine.
beauty of being divorced is I don't have to justify my tool expenditures.
Oh,
Yeah.
Hey, Dave, I thought you were going to offer up a tip on how to remove the chuck.
Oh, yes. So back on your
Yeah.
so mark your 10 in there first. That way you can put it back on correctly. Thank you for reminding me on that.
so, and I guess there's probably a couple of different ways to mark but this is how I do it. I like to make 3 marks. So this one lines up with the number 1, and then these 2 line up where the jaw will be when I close it back down on either side.
Yep.
So it just gets me a little closer.
Whatever works.
That's right. Get you in the ballpark. Better than 1 going in 3.
Yeah. Why is it so wobbly?
Uh-huh.
I gotta set you down because I need 2 hands for this part.
And when you're done moving the piece off, throw it back in the tripod. Okay, move your tool rest and yoke out of the way.
All right.
All right. Now take your chuck screw.
A wrench.
Chuck wrench.
And
get it. No, stick it in
No.
there. Yep. Stick it inside the jaws. No, the jaws.
Yeah.
In the jaws. Inside the jaws. Now close your spindle lock down. Now crack it.
And there we go.
Now, I do the same thing sometimes, but I use a piece of 3/4 inch by 1 inch oak about a foot long. And I open the jaws up wide enough to put that 3/4 inch in between them and then use that as a lever.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm not,
And that works. And that,
because it's,
right.
it works
That
great
works
and
good
it's
too.
it's easier on the jaws than that hard steel.
I
Yeah.
saw Billy Burke do that on YouTube a
Okay,
few times.
now, before you forget,
Yep.
unlock it. You have the spindle lock.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that loud
But yeah, I've
squeak on
used
the
I've
wall
used
lets
the
you know
wrench
it's still
too, but
locked.
I actually prefer using the a piece of oak because it's strong enough
Yeah,
and it
using the
hurts and
wood
it won't hurt the jaws.
using the wood
What?
makes a lot of sense, Billy. Thank you. That's a great idea.
Not a problem.
That's what we're here for.
Tips and
Demystifying wood turning.
Yep.
All part of the services.
Right? Worth the price of admission.
Yeah, I've seen Billy Burke do that on YouTube many times, and it
Mhm.
works if you remember to have a piece of 3/4 inch oak by your lathe.
Right?
How long is your 3/4 inch oak?
It's about a foot long.
Cool.
Just
I
a
got
piece
oak in the
of
shop.
3/4 inch piece of 3/4 inch scrap oak, about a foot long, about an inch wide. Works great.
I got pith cutouts I can use. Oak. Is white oak better than red oak?
I don't think it matters.
I had a question on Facebook earlier, but I can't remember if it was somebody in the club or not in the club, but asked how I made the moon and the sun on that. And so if whoever it was that asked me is in this meeting right now, then I will show you that they're just silicone molds.
Ah.
And so you can play around and put different colors in there and then put another layer of a different color on there. I've done some like that. Might have one. Oh yeah, I do have one here where I goofed around with different colors.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. But the silicone stuff, if you go on Amazon, whatever, and just put in casting silicone molds, you'll get quite a few. But I also found out if you put in baking, you get more more assortment.
Unique stuff.
And the baking ones, a lot of times, are cheaper.
Yeah, they are
Well,
cheaper almost
and
always.
it's made from the same stuff, right? It's all silicone.
Yes, it's all silicone.
Yep.
And like these mats, if I find them for resin turning, they're like double the price. Put in baking silicone mat, and I think these are like $8 a piece or something like that. And yeah, it's all the exact same stuff.
That's because bakers are cheaper than turners.
Yeah.
Bakers have less money than turners. I think
don't know.
that's what it is. Hey, so give us the full view of the flag of the PEX there. There we go. I'm glad you didn't cover it up.
Yeah. So this is the one that you guys are probably seeing lots of commercials for it on Facebook and stuff. It's the OmniWall. And so I gave in and I bought it.
Yeah, I like it. Still need to have the rest of it removed that's on there, but that's okay. Get another one. It's just
I have the real flag.
I know. It's all good. And then did you get the other one set up down on the other end of the shop for the non-wood turning?
No. So I'm gonna, eventually. These ones are just your regular Masonite pegboard. Eventually, I'd like to switch those out to the OmniWall systems as well. But so this big one is OmniWall. And then, of course, the American flag one, and then this one over here are OmniWall.
Looks good. Heck yeah. Yeah, your shop's come a long way in the last 3.5 years.
It sure did. Yeah, I
Yeah.
just started off with a blank canvas, and yep, I love it.
Sure.
It's my home away from home.
Right. Yeah, I hear you. I think that's the story for the majority of us. Our shops are. We'd rather be in our shop than inside our house.
Yeah.
I know it's the case with myself. Well, Doug, I got to say thank you. Not only on behalf of myself for you doing the demo this evening, but on the rest of the group, everybody is extremely happy that you were able to do a demo for us tonight. We had an extremely good.
Absolutely.
Good
Absolutely.
It was great, and I want
You
to.
never disappoint, buddy.
That's
I
right.
appreciate that. Thanks.
I have to thank you from Safety Sue. Anybody noticed he turned off his machine whenever Dane reminded him about his tool rest.
Oh, I will not. I know I see people do it all the time, that they can move their tool rest with the lathe running, and that's fine if that's the way you want to do it. You're an adult, you can make your own decisions. But I messed up one time moving the tool rest with the lathe on, and it was a piece that I was almost done with, and then disaster struck. And I was like, yep, lesson learned. For the amount of seconds it takes to turn it off and move it, and
Yeah.
not.
Yep. You
Yeah.
just followed all the safety rules. And it's like if everybody would look at your once dark gray t-shirt, and now it's all dusty and it's got, dusty wood chips from dry wood.
Yeah.
Or in his respirator, he'd be breathing all that. It would be in
Oh
his.
yeah. Nope.
So yeah.
No, I used
One
to
other
wear
thing, Doug.
regular dust masks, and then I had quite a bit of walnut for a while. Actually, I still have some, but it's out in the shed. But it was really dry too, and I mean, it came right through the dust mask, and I was struggling. I went and blew my nose, and man, all that gunk came out, and I was like, all right, time for a respirator. And even this respirator is getting wore out. It's about time to go get a new one. And I don't know. Here's just more knowledge to share on the respirators. When you're not wearing them, you're actually supposed to keep them in a sealed bag, and it makes the filters last quite a bit longer on them. I think for the most part in here, the dust particles are large enough that the filter is going to do its job anyway. But if I was working with a lot of chemicals and everything, these filters would already be garbage. They're too old.
Hey,
Right.
Doug, you got an air filtration system in your shop?
I do. It's actually on right now, so let
Okay,
me.
yeah, I see it. I see it behind you there. Another cheap way of doing besides that one, I
And
actually have I've got two. I've got a 21-inch box fan with a filter behind it. Then I have one of those wind filters like what you have hanging up. I
Okay.
turned both of them on. The box fan filters quite a bit of quite a bit of stuff, and that's blowing directly at my lathe, and the other one is sucking stuff away from the lathe. So
Yeah, so I'll turn this fan on to push it away from me, and then I don't have it turned around the right way right now because I was making room for the camera. But when I'm using my regular dust collector, here's my big redneck defied system. So the plastic piece I picked up at Rockler, Woodworker Source, one of the woodworking stores, and then the frame and all that, I stole that idea from somebody else in my local club. Saw how they built theirs, and so yeah, that will turn and come right underneath the lathe.
show the backside of that stand if you would. How
Yeah,
you
I
have
just
mounted.
twisted my hose all up, but
Yeah.
there you go.
Oh, cool. So you just got a post and mounted that up there on the
Yep,
post.
yeah, it's there you go. So just made out of some OSB, and then a little 2x4, whatever it was, and then
Nice. That's a great tip there.
Yep.
You know,
Like it needs
I'm looking at this and I'm
some
thinking that we
strapping.
could have a whole meeting demo just on everybody showing their dust collection techniques.
Well, there's only about 5 people that have dust collection.
Well, I do. Are you one of them, Dane?
Well, the closest thing I have dust collection is my 20-inch fan with a filter on the backside that catch some of the particulate. You know, beyond that, you know, I don't have it.
Having
So-
it
Gotcha.
and using
Down
it.
here, I turned this thing many, many years ago when I was still in my old shop that was carpeted. And I can pop this off, stick that bad boy in there, and then my shop vac hose fits that perfect. And then I could use my dust collector as a shop vac.
Oh, there you go.
Doug, I got a question.
Yeah.
Why the post inside of the hole so you can take it out or why not just have a post attached to the floor, the base?
I could have. It was easier to mount it that way. And then the guy who I was copying, and I never finished mine, because I realized mine's actually a little bit taller than I'd like it to be. It really needs to be a tad bit shorter. But see how I made the hole there? He had different holes in his, and to put a dowel in there and adjust the height. Yeah. And then I went, well, mine's already, if anything, too tall. I'd like it to be just a little bit lower, but it worked.
Okay.
My dust collector is very similar to yours, Doug, but I discovered, or I felt that the hood itself was not close enough and not collecting dust well enough. So
Okay.
I got better collection from having just the end of the hose itself right on the edge of the piece.
Okay.
Like an inch off the edge of the piece.
Yeah.
And we're all different. I mean, this is I'm sure yours works well for you, but it's just, the hood doesn't work for me, or I'm unhappy with how little dust is collected in the hood. So
Yeah.
I moved mine so the hose was actually, a smaller diameter, more volume, if you will, right
Sure.
at the edge of the piece.
Yeah, it's constricted. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Shorter the
what would-
hose, more volume for sure.
Yeah, and so what would happen, because what was happening is the dust wasn't getting into the hood enough for the hose, the suction, to pick it up. So by having the hose end right at the edge of my piece, the dust was being carried on the piece of wood right to the bottom, and then it would be sucked right into the hose right there. So I have a little contraption that connects to my wood lathe, the bed, and lets me basically adjust where the hose is, so I can always get it very quickly right to the edge of the piece, so I can get that collection right there. I don't know, it seemed to work better for me, but just a suggestion. But I have two of those hoods, those exact same hoods, and I was unhappy with them both. I tried a couple different things.
If I remember right, Mr. Duxbury came from the that industry, along with several patents and whatnot. And it seems like he was explaining a couple years ago, a 2-inch diameter hose is going to create more suction than the standard 3-inch, 4-inch hoses that majority of the dust collection systems come with.
So are you saying that if you reduce the aperture, you're going to have more suction volume, if you will?
You're going to have more suction volume.
It's less volume, but more suction.
Got it.
Yeah,
Got it.
you'll have more velocity, but you won't have the volume.
Understood. So if you can get the stream very close, the stream of particles very close to where your nozzle is, and if you reduce the size of the hose, then at that point, then that should give you.
Right.
That's interesting. Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's kind of like a garden,
like a high pressure
like a
nose
garden hose.
just opposite direction.
Right.
Exactly. It's just like a garden hose.
So I made my dust hood using I don't know what it is, about a 6x8 thing made for dust collection. And so my box is about 6x8 or 8x10, something like that. But it's about half the size of yours, Doug. And mine, I'm thinking about taking the the hood off and going straight hose, because it's not doing as good a job as I would like it to do. It's doing a fair job, but I think it could be better.
Okay.
Sounds like you're thinking a lot like I'm thinking. Billy.
Yeah, I'm just going to go straight to the hose and see if it makes a difference.
So Doug, can you go back by your dust collector for a second?
Yeah.
So if you want to improve the suction on that dust collector from where it comes out of the fan and goes into your bag house. Take that corrugated hose off and make that metal hose.
Yeah.
Make it metal pipe or PVC pipe. You'll increase the efficiency by 40%.
Yeah. And it's really true of any of the ribbed hoses too.
Yep.
Anytime you have a rib in it, it's going to reduce it. Straight is always going to be better.
The longer you can run in metal or PVC and just use your flex hoses as short as possible, the more suction you gain.
Yep.
Right.
And reduce the shock hazard going through metal.
Right.
And reduce the length of those runs.
Yeah.
Correct. And make them sweeping 90 degrees instead of sharp 90 degrees.
Yeah.
The longer the sweep, the better the velocity through the pipe. It reduces the head loss on the pipe.
Okay, why is using the solid pipe instead of the flex hose better?
Smoother.
The ribs.
So smoother, you get a better.
Better flow.
Yeah,
you get laminar if you've got smooth walls. If you've got smooth walls, you get laminar flow. If you have, like with the flex hose, you get turbulent flow along the edge.
Yep.
And that actually slows the speed of the air moving down.
Okay.
So but if you've got straight, smooth wall inside, you get laminar flow and you don't have turbulence. So you get it goes faster.
So dust collectors like Doug has there, that's high volume, low pressure. Your shop vacs are high pressure, low volume.
Correct.
Right.
So in order to make that big dust collector work as good as your shop vac, as far as suction, you have to get rid of all your flow loss in all your pipe.
Well, another thing that will actually improve air volume and flow in a system like that too is to dump it straight into a cyclone, and instead of dumping it through a filter or goes the cyclone instead of a bag, and instead of blowing the top out through that big filter, blow the top straight outside.
Yeah. Actually, if he would just take the filter house off of there and blow it out his wall, he could suck stuff right off the lathe.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got mine blowing right outside. I don't go through a bag.
Yep.
I've got a cyclone to collect the everything big enough
I'm pretty sure that would be allowed
right outside.
I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be allowed to do that here.
Yeah, my neighbor might not appreciate that.
But Matt, if you had a small trailer that you could blow that into, canvas trailer.
I don't have that. It would be on
But I'm just saying,
you'd be surprised. Mine blows little to no dust outside. I'm using a super dust deputy, and everything else blows straight outside. And you'd be surprised how little doesn't end up in that dust deputy cyclone. It all ends up in the bucket. Very, very little goes outside my shop at all.
Hey, Matt, you could blow it into a tent.
Yep.
I've got a fine baffle.
I appreciate the suggestions. I'm not sure how I'd be permitted to do that here. It's complicated, but I don't think that I would be allowed to do something like that on the outside.
Matt, I have a thine baffle built on mine. I tore my dust collector completely apart and built a thine baffle.
Okay.
And I use an automotive diesel truck filter for filter in my shop because I don't want to run it out the wall because of the noise.
Right.
My neighbors don't want the noise. And I got a 5-gallon bucket that goes on the bottom of that semi air filter. And I change my 55-gallon drum 10 times before I take a cup full of dust out of that 5-gallon bucket.
Here's a little one if you'll spotlight me again. That works off of a shop vac.
Yeah, it's the same system. I think, didn't I, Dane, on here show my system when I rebuilt it?
Yeah, you did.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, you did.
I might add a little to it. I was over to Harbor Freight the other day. They really did have a nice cyclone system over there.
Yeah, and it
For
works
about
good
$100
too.
bucks. It's a nice one. And they also make their new dust collector with a big filter like you have on top instead of just a bag.
Yep.
And the Harbor Freight dust collection systems actually have really good reviews.
Yeah, that's what mine is. 2-horse. And I started with that. Yeah, I got it on sale for less than $200.
But the one that I have now is on its last leg, and when it finally breaks, that's what I'm going to go get is the Harbor Freight one. But yeah, these ones just hook up to your shop vac. And if I spend a lot of time at the bandsaw, I'll use this one. And
you get nothing in the shop vac, isn't that right, Doug?
Right. It all goes into the bucket.
Yep.
Right.
That's a fine baffle.
Another big advantage of the Cyclone is I do some pretty good turning, and I get a lot of shavings and big ones, and you're putting that all through the fan. But the Cyclone is gathering it all up before it hits the fan.
Correct.
Yeah. Now with mine, I have the Festool dust extractor. It takes the 2-inch.
Festool.
Festool.
Festool. You talk about somebody that's got money now.
I was gonna say, man, she's
No kidding.
Oh my
Remember you guys.
Sue's got that Harley Davidson money.
I know, yeah. You know what it is? I no longer have car payments or car insurance. Can't. but
I'm glad I'm the little brother.
Okay, I'll remember you. So, anyways, Oneida makes a cyclone system that fits right on top. So it's a big
Good night, Gary.
rectangular square system or rectangular cyclone that actually fits on top of your Festool.
My pleasure, Gary.
Yeah. And it works great.
Yeah. The Oneida Super Dust Deputy is what I'm using. And I have, I mean, it collects the stuff it collects blows my mind. It is so fine. Like I said, I'm blowing everything else, everything that doesn't get collected in the bucket below the cyclone. I can go outside and look at the side of my shop and down the wall, and there's a little bit out there, but I mean, there is literally nothing on the ground and nothing on the shed that it's blowing towards my pump house for my well. And I mean, there's nothing.
No.
I'm not blowing anything outside.
Those dust deputies are great.
Hey, I put a link to the Fine Baffle a description. There's a bunch of them on YouTube, but there's one.
Matthias Wendell built one. Actually, he's built several. There are a bunch of people have built them. Stumpy Nubs, I think he built them too. He built a couple as well.
Yeah, Stumpy's
Stumpy's got a good one.
I wish somebody would build one that wasn't so noisy.
Yeah.
Am I the only one who uses a garbage can? I run mine into the garbage can and then into my fine filter.
I got a garbage can out now. Mine is
Good night, Brenda.
Inside my shop.
Hi, Brenda.
Hi, Brenda.
Little outbuilding I built, and it goes into a trash can. Then instead of having a filter system, I blow my fine dust and stuff like Billy does out in the open. But you know, I've got an acre and a half between me and the next guy. So
I bought I bought a
Hey,
plastic bucket. I bought a plastic bucket that
Heather, you're
has a
excused.
ring that seals the lid
Camera off.
onto
I know
it.
you're working.
And I can seal the plastic lid onto this bucket with a snap ring, and I mean it's nice and sealed. In fact, the way I've got my system set up, I don't even have to use the ring anymore. I just wind the cyclone up above the bucket a few inches and pull the bucket out and go empty it and then put it back in. But it works great.
Yeah, that's the only problem I have with the garbage can. It goes for quite a while, but it's a 33, I think it is, gallon garbage can. It gets a bit full. It gets kind of hard to get it moving around.
Yeah, I'm running into that problem too. If I let mine get too full, it gets kind of difficult for me to tote out.
I've also found if I let mine get too full, it definitely reduces the suction. The emptier, the better it works.
Well, mine, if I let mine get too full, way too full once, and the only reason I knew that is because I noticed there was dust all outside the wall of the shop, which told me, "Oops, you probably go empty
Don't
that."
be lazy and try to put a plastic bag inside your dust collection can.
Oh, I did.
That does not work.
I've got plastic bags inside mine right now.
Been there, done that. Guess what happened?
Yeah.
Well, you got to put a metal cage in them if you're going to do that, so it doesn't suck the bag in.
It did.
Yeah,
it pulled,
so if you look right
pulled
here, I've
that
got a
bag
plastic
up into my cyclone. I don't do that anymore.
I absolutely use the plastic bag inside mine, and I picked that up from my brother. He showed me that's how they do it. He's works in a cabinet making shop, and so that way I don't have to sit there and try to empty my whole.
Well, no,
bag.
But
having the plastic bag down
fine
there.
baffle though.
Yeah.
Having
having the plastic bag there, Doug. That's all mine came with. Mine came with a plastic bag on the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Had
That's
a
what
filter
mine
bag
was.
on top and a plastic bag on the bottom. And so I thought I'd be smart and put a trash bag inside the bucket below my cyclone. Nope.
Oh, now I see what you're saying. Okay.
I don't have a cyclone, guys, but I will tell you that I bought several years ago a setup for picking up the dust at the lathe from Craft Supplies, and it's on a bar so you can move the chute up and down your lathe. It just bolts to the back side of your lathe, and it pivots and everything, so I can turn it so that it's straight up and down or sideways, and I can move it up and down and raise it up and drop it down. And that to me has been the best thing, because before I had my dust collector sucking from up top and it was useless.
Right,
so this way I can bring it down under the bowl, or if I'm sanding in reverse, I can move it up a little bit. Very adjustable. And I just love that part of it.
And what's yours called?
It's a I bought it from Craft Supplies probably about 8 years ago, and it just comes with a bracket that bolts to the back of the lathe and a shaft that's adjustable up and down, or it tilts back and forth. And I'll have to look at it. I'll try and find the name of it and put it on Facebook. But that thing has been a godsend for me. And like yours has a wooden pillar and it adjusts up and down and that. I couldn't get mine to suck through that same thing. So I bought this, and it's about the size of a furnace vent on it for a suction port. Like I said, if I'm turning a fairly good sized bowl, I can turn the thing sideways so it's up and down and put it on the side, and it just works really, really well.
Okay.
So
Ken Rizza at Wood Turner's Wonders also has a system like that. There's a track that you bolt to the back side of your lathe, and there's a flexible arm
Yep.
that
Mhm.
that you can bolt to it. It's got two. It's actually got two flexible arms coming up with the thing you hook your hose on,
Yep.
and it's great, but it was expensive, and I'm cheap.
Well, back when I was working, I had screw you money, and it didn't bother me.
yeah.
But I also wanted to say about using a hose versus the big collector. If you watch Tomislav, he's got a hose, like just a plastic pipe, and it's cut off at a 45-degree angle. And you can see all the dust getting sucked into that thing. So that works very well.
Yeah.
And he's got it kind of built into a hood so nothing gets out past it. But that tube sucks stuff up really good.
That's because he doesn't have any air loss because he's using PVC.
True that. But it does, you can actually see how much dust he's pulling through there when he's sanding.
Yeah.
And he doesn't sand quite as much as me. He doesn't start at 40 grit, so.
You don't start at 40, Scott.
Actually, I've been having trouble finding it, so it's been 60.
You got to go to an automotive store to get 40 and 36 grit.
Actually, I was going to break a corner off a sidewalk block and start using that.
I was getting ready to tell you to go get yourself some concrete mix, and you can make your own.
There were a little asphalt in there for good measure.
Yeah.
No, that would get gummy when it got warm.
Right.
You wouldn't have to worry about filling the cracks in the grooves left.
And that's true.
Right? No, that's right. Well, gentlemen, it's been a great meeting, but I have to get going. So have a good night and thank you very much.
All right.